Thank you. And once again, good morning. Welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we know that nothing happens by chance, that everything is by a divine appointment. It may look like a coincidence, but there are no coincidences in life. Everything is a divine appointment. And blessed are they who have eyes that see and ears that hear. Our theme from the month is From Pressure to Pleasure, excuse me. And this morning's topic is the breath of fire. Now, it tells us biblically that it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. So if it's the Father's good pleasure, and we believe that we are co-creators with this energy, and it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, ours is about opening to that kingdom. Because the Father's good pleasure has already been given. And all we have to do is open to that energy. So the breath of fire, I've been a yoga student for over 40 years. I took Bikram yoga, that's called the hot yoga. My daughter doesn't call me lizard lady for nothing. The hot yoga of 107, and you're doing yoga. And there was a pranayama yoga and a breath. And it was breathing, quickly outward. And then, of course, the pranayama is breathing in and then breathing out slowly. But of course, if we look at the breath and we breathe fire into the very energy, and we're talking about the fire of spirit, the quickening of that which is within us. God breathed life into man, and man became a living soul through the breath. Through the energy, life, force, energy. And I want you to know this is why I love our way of life, is that we are always creating and recreating our experience. And when we recreate our experience on a higher level, we open. There's such an opening. It's just amazing. But I want you to know that we arise to the occasion of our crises. We are there. We are, we're embodying the energy of compassion. We care, but it is the challenge of transforming the routines of work, which is our daily life, into the celebration of what we have been given. So turning the routines of work into celebrations of life and love is the challenge, because we arise to the occasion of the crisis. We are like there. But it's the everyday where we embody the holy breath, life force energy, breathing life force energy into the everyday. God breathed life into man, and man became a living soul. And through that living soul, that energy, that we are on this earth plane once again. And so in our daily life, which is our temple and our religion, we have all kinds of experiences that come up. And yesterday I was getting gas at Costco, and I was, going through the whole routine as we do. And I want you to know, I was one of the very last holdouts. I just was not going to pump my own gas ever. This was in San Diego. I actually ran out of gas on the freeway because I was on my way to a place that did pump gas. And I ran out of gas. I was like the last holdout. And so I had to teach myself to do this. It's not my favorite thing whatsoever. And many times, the pump does not cooperate with me. And nothing comes out. Then I got to get the guy over there. And then he just does this, and of course it all works because he likes to do it. Well, I'm doing it perfectly, and I've got it all handled, and I, put it back in, and then there's people lined up. There's only one person behind me. And there was this gal, and, she's in her new Mercedes. Mine's a little older. And she just, screeches rubber and moves right in front of me because the car in front left. And then she's parked diagonally, practically. So now I cannot get out to leave. So I said, excuse me, you're going to have to move your car so that I can now get out because, there's no room for me. She says, well, if you weren't so slow. I said, oh, excuse me. Now, There are advantages to turning 75. I want you to know that. I found that out very quickly. So I said, well, I hope you do as well as I'm doing when you're 75. And she said, no way. I mean, she was like blown away when I said that. So she gets in her car and she moves it, and her partner, she sticks her head out. She goes, she's in a hurry and she doesn't need to be. I said, isn't that usually the way? Hurry up and wait. I did not take offense to it. I just drew the larger circle. I played the age card, which this is going to come in handy now, right? Played the age card, it worked. She calmed down, whenever this big rush was, she had to actually get in her car. She had to move her car now and straighten it out in front of me so I could get out. So it's so interesting. This is the human condition, that we want instant gratification. We want what we want, but we want it, and we want it now. And energetically, there is amazing energy in having patience. And I had to learn this myself. And to letting go and letting God do what God does best is letting it flow. That energy absolutely flows. In the Course in Miracles states you are never upset for the reason you think. And when we get it, and we get to the root cause of it, we can then let it go. See, the out-picturing of our anger is just, anger is just waiting for something to happen so we can really disperse that energy. But when we heal the cause in mind, and we turn pressure into pleasure, realizing it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and the kingdom is here and now. Heaven and hell are not geographical locations, right? They are states of consciousness. Even though I love the story, and I love to hear myself tell it about the American that went to Greece, and they were looking down craters, and the tour guide was taking them, all through the Greek wonderful architecture and landscapes. And one, guy looked down and goes, "My God, it looks like hell." And the Greek tour guide said, "You Americans have been everywhere." Yes, everywhere. And it's so true, right? So true. But energetically, it's not a geographical location. It is a state of consciousness. And when we get it, that it's a state of consciousness, we will take ourselves out of that negative equation and feel that, we're just in such a rush and we got to get it done, and we lash out. But I want you to know, a calm answer, as the Bible says in Proverbs, turneth away wrath. So when I could laugh and just say, well, I hope when you're 75, you do as good as me, and I'm laughing. And it just calmed everything down. And when we understand that it's never about us unless we make it about us, even though it may be directed about us, it's not about us unless we take exception to it. Then we have an energy charge on it. And when we have an energy charge on it, from pressure to pleasure is to get to the root cause. And when we get to the root cause, we can release it to its native nothingness from whence it came. Because the truth is, and we know this in our way of life, right? It is neither person, even though it looks like people. Well, you were so slow. It's not places, even though it might look like a line at the gas station at Costco. And it's not things. It's not about what we drive, right? It's about how we respond to life. And I love, I call these laboratories. And this is like our experiment, the divine experiment, when we can send out positive energy. When negative energy is coming to us, we can calm the situation. So the breath of fire is also putting that warmth and that energy into what we say, because truly that which we utter does become the outer. It shows up, and man breathed life. God breathed life into man, and man became a living soul. We are all living souls. The breath, the energy, the life force is within us. And when we practice our own breathing, breathing in and breathing out, letting go and letting God, placing our hand on our heart, feeling the beating of our heart. I believe that we were given a heart so we would live one moment at a time, beat by precious beat, moment by precious moment. I believe I'm an idealist, I really am. I believe peace is possible. I believe if enough spiritual people gather together, sending out this energy of peace, that energetically we will lift the energy of the planet as a whole. The Tibetan monks did a whole experiment in Los Angeles. They meditated for 1 month, sending out this energy. Perfect action through inaction, the Buddhists say. And the crime rate in LA went down 27%. Think about it. 27%. We get enough people. We create a critical mass. It's, the 2 or 3 gather together, creating a larger energy field where the whole really is greater than the sum of its parts. We will see change. And everything that's bubbling up now in our political world and all over the world has come up to be absolutely healed and purified, cleansed, harmonized, balanced, attuned, and heightened. It has now bubbled up so that we can address it and we can deal with it. So when I say I believe peace is possible, and being raised in domestic violence, and realizing that the sins of the first and second generations are visited upon the third and fourth. However, so is the joy of the first and second generations visited upon the third and fourth, because joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. And when we have that joy energy, everyone is uplifted in our energy field. When we put that out there in a compassionate way, and realizing that this yoga, this unity of the spirit in our breath, and using the breath of fire to calm, to soothe, to also bring into manifestation so each and every one of us realize we are a living soul. We have a divine destiny. We are fulfilling that destiny every time we take higher ground. And when we take higher ground, we take everyone with us. The Course in Miracles states, love waits on welcome, not on time. Time is relative. Love is eternal. Love is that energy that takes us up in the everlasting arms. And we can feel that divine caress. And we know that we are never, ever alone. And when we realize, we have these realizations, and then we move up the spiral. Remember, life is a spiral, and we are upward bound. And that with each new revolution of change, there is an embodiment and understanding that I am in the world, but of a higher spiritual vibratory frequency, and I want to operate from that octave. So when someone screams at me, oh, you're so slow, I can just give love out in a nice way and use my breath of fire to calm the situation, to also energize it with love. And I did laugh also when I said it, and I did not take it personally whatsoever. And I want you to know, in my whole life, I have never been called slow, ever. So I was amused as well, right? I was totally amused. And I thought, what part of me was this woman in my life at one time? Thinking what we have to do is just so important. But I have never screeched rubber to just get 2 feet in front of somebody at the gas station ever. So we know that the troubled spirit needs to be set well. And when we realize that, then we do not take it personally. We just breathe love into the situation. I love the story about, he came before the judge, and the judge said, what are you charged with? And he said, early Christmas shopping. He said, well, that's not an offense, early Christmas shopping. My gosh, how early were you? He said, before the store opened. It's my humor. I thought it was hysterical. before the store opened. Okay, got it. All right, some of us are a little slow this morning, so if I was slow yesterday, you could be slow today. Okay, so with that being said, we are here together, and we are making a difference. And that difference is about our oneness. And I have urged every Wednesday Night Live since July for everyone to sign the Oneness Declaration, to Google it, sign your name on the Oneness Declaration to get a groundswell of critical mass so that we can shift the scales in favor of spirituality. Are we in favor of that? Shift the scales in favor of spirituality. And I believe that we can have this peace that passes all understanding. It is the peace of God, whatever we conceive our God to be, whatever name we put on our higher power, it matters not. But to continually acknowledge that which is within me is greater than that which resides in the world. I will not give my power away to people, places, and things. I will not give my power away to these little fears that loom up in our experience. Jesus walked on the waves, the emotional waves, and he said, "Peace, be still." The waves calmed, the disciples calmed. Everything arose in an energy of peace. And when Lord Buddha was confronted with Mara, the god Mara, who is the god of destruction, the god of death, and Mara sent the temptations to Buddha, who was sitting under the Bodhi tree of his beautiful 3 daughters. Buddha remained unmoved in meditation. He sent the monsters out. Buddha remained unmoved in meditation. And when Mara said to Buddha, he said, "You are not entitled to enlightenment. I am." Buddha remained in meditation as the monsters said, "And we are your witness to Mara." And Mara said, "And who witnesses for you, Siddhartha? Who witnesses for you?" And Siddhartha put his hand on the earth, and the earth spoke and said, "We are his witness." And Mara, the god of destruction and death, disappeared, returned to his native nothingness from whence he came. And at that moment, Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, the enlightened one. And when Buddha was asked, "Who are you? What are you? Are you a god? Are you an angel? Who are you?" Buddha said, "I am awake. I am awake." And as we awaken to our divinity, then the planet itself is uplifted. Placing our hand on the earth and having the earth bear witness to us. Because as Fleet so beautifully sang, that we all share the same breath, the same water, the same earth, the same sky. We share it all. So we move from pressure to pleasure because it is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Do we accept it? Absolutely. It's here for us to just open to and to let it happen by means of each and every one of us who showed up here today. And I acknowledge my interfaith spiritual community that keeps our doors open so that our viewing audience can enjoy this message and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I say this today as I leave for Amsterdam tomorrow morning, and when I'm at the Peace Memorial Monument in Amsterdam, and speaking this word, and taking each and every one of you with me, because we are the sum total of all our experiences, aren't we? The sum total. We take each other with us wherever we are. And that does make all the difference, because we are going somewhere, and where is it? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. Where? Higher yet. And so it is. I say namaste. The God in me salutes the God in you. I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, everyone. And so it is. Thank you.